This is Montana This Morning.
Good Tuesday morning. It's 5 o'clock. Welcome to Montana This Morning. I'm Victoria Hill. Thank you so much for starting your day with us. Our top story this Tuesday morning, Billings Clinic is overwhelmed with COVID-19 patients and the National Guard is coming in to help. Yesterday, Governor Greg Gianforte approved a request for 10 members to serve here until October 1st. The National Guard members will help with indirect care, including things like cleaning and patient transport. There are more than 120 patients at the two Billings hospitals. 36 are in intensive care. The pandemic will be front and center starting today when the UN General Assembly convenes. More than 80 world leaders plan to attend after last year's session was held virtually. The U.S. Surgeon General says President Joe Biden will announce new measures meant to reduce COVID spread before the assembly meets. While the session opens today, general debate won't start until next week. A group of scientists from around the world say there is no evidence showing we need a COVID-19 booster shot at this time. They say data shows vaccines still offer protection from variants. Although efficacy does wane over time, scientists say the body's immune system still has other defenses that can protect us from getting seriously sick. An FDA advisory committee will meet Friday to go over other data that supports the use of boosters. Now it's time to get a check of weather with Miller on this Tuesday. What does Tuesday hold for us, Miller?
Well, it's going to be warmer today. In fact, we're going to be warming up the next couple of days, but we do have a big cool down coming. Then we're going to warm back up, and then we're going to cool back down.
Oh, boy.
Taking notes, we're going to have a test later. All right, it's going to be, in terms of the surface smoke like yesterday, it's going to be light to start this morning. It may thicken up a little bit later this afternoon, so quality this morning good. We'll turn it to fair later this afternoon. 50 right now at the airport. Humidity sitting at 74%, so it is a little thick out there, a little bit of moisture. Winds out of the northwest at about 7 miles an hour. Crunch the numbers quickly yesterday, a little warmer than anticipated. We got up to near 80. Overnight low got down to about 53. We saw a wind gust of 33 miles an hour yesterday. We really have some windy conditions on the way, especially as we get into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We'll tell you about that in just a bit. No rain yesterday. We're at 3.62 inches in the hole for the year. So we could really use some more rainfall, and there is a slight chance east of Yellowstone County. You can see a little slug of moisture there trying to hit into Miles City up near Glendive. It may roll through. We could see some more a little bit later on this afternoon with highs getting into the 70s and 80s. We'll get even warmer tomorrow. It's called prefrontal heating, and then we cool back down. We'll take a look at that and a whole lot more with the main forecast coming up.
All right, sounds good, Miller. Thank you so much. I'll get back to news. On to Wildfire Watch. President Biden praised firefighters during a trip to Idaho. He's also weighing in on the record fire season out west that included more than 2,000 fires here in Montana. Reporter Roland Barris tells us what the president says his administration is doing to help firefighters.
Air Force One landed in Boise as heavy smoke shrouded the foothills. An appropriate background for the topic of President Biden's visit, the massive wildfires burning out of control around the West. The president opening on a poetic note.
All's changed utterly. A terrible beauty has been born.
He's referring to the nearly year-long fire season that is destroying communities, filling valleys with smoke and stretching resources to the limits.
We know about a third of the forests are at risk of big catastrophic fires, and we got a lot of work to do.
You have the full support of my government, my administration, I should say, and all those who have major roles in the government, from the Department of Agriculture and the Department of Interior, just across the board.
Governor Little asked the president to get the Department of Justice involved in helping to restrict environmental lawsuits that he says make it impossible to reduce fuel loads and help protect firefighters.
Would be very appreciated, and all the Western governors stand ready to work with you and your administration on it. And again, thank you for coming to Boise.
Speaking to firefighters directly, the president acknowledged the brave work they do to keep us all safe. He's already increased firefighter pay to help keep the fire lines staffed.
The only thing that really matters is there's enough firefighters. Firefighters protecting firefighters. That's the big deal.
The president spent just under 2 hours in Boise before leaving for California, where he'll see firsthand the efforts of firefighters to keep places like South Lake Tahoe safe. Roland Barris, Idaho News 6.
Also making headlines this morning, Congress will continue hearings on the military withdrawal from Afghanistan. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will testify in front of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee today. He testified before a House committee yesterday, saying the Biden administration inherited a bad situation and had two choices: end the war or escalate it. Other Senate committees are scheduled to hold closed-door hearings later this week. Another storm is battering the United States. Nicholas hit Texas as a Category 1 hurricane, bringing heavy rain and strong winds to the Texas Gulf Coast. The storm could dump as much as 2 feet of rain. Nicholas is also headed toward Louisiana, where cleanup continues and the lights are still off for thousands 2 weeks after Ida. It's predicted to land there tomorrow, as it's been tracking over Texas very slowly at just 10 miles per hour. A state of emergency has already been declared for the state of Louisiana. A new lawsuit from a Montana conservative group claims the state campaigning law violates the First Amendment. The Clean Campaign Law requires groups to notify candidates if they're mentioned in mailers. Last October, Montana Citizens for Right to Work failed to do that and now face prosecution from the State Commissioner of Political Practices. The lawsuit seeks to throw out the law and block the group from facing any legal action for last year's mailers. Montana Citizens for Right to Work says the notification requirement is a burden that singles out critical comment while not applying it to positive endorsements. California's recall day has arrived. Voters in the state are deciding whether Governor Gavin Newsom will remain in office, and if not, who should replace him. CBS's Anthony Pura has more.
On the eve of California's recall vote, President Biden hit the campaign trail to stump for Governor Gavin Newsom.
The decision you're about to make isn't just going to have a huge impact on California. It's going to reverberate around the nation.
The president said Republican frontrunner Larry Elder is a follower of former President Trump.
He's the clone of Donald Trump. Can you imagine him being governor of this state?
The recall effort has focused on Newsom's handling of the pandemic. Elder says if elected, he would abolish the state's mask and vaccine mandates on his first day in office.
He can't defend his record on how he shut down the state, ignoring science. He can't defend his record on homelessness.
Recent polls show Governor Newsom's approval rating as high as 57%, but a simple majority is all that's needed to oust him. Newsom's advisors told CBS News they're confident that won't happen. They believe early voting has provided Newsom with an insurmountable lead.
We have 24 more hours to vote no on this Republican recall.
Only 2 U.S. governors have ever been unseated by a recall vote. The last time it happened was in 2003 in California, when Democrat Gray Davis was succeeded by Republican Arnold Schwarzenegger. Anthony Pura, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Nearly 8 million Californians have already cast mail-in ballots. In other news, suicide. It's a topic that in some way or some form impacts everyone. But as Q2's Janelle Slade reports, our region deals with it more than most.
Montana and Wyoming, both states filled with natural beauty, rugged history, and good people. But we also share a commonality that doesn't make us so proud. Per capita, our 2 states rank 1st and 3rd for deaths by suicide. In both states, suicide is the 2nd leading cause of death for people ages 10 to 44. And though the why may be hard to understand, what you need to know, 3 simple words can help save lives.
Nobody really wants to die. People want the pain to stop.
The most important message Dr. Eric Arzubi, a child and adult psychiatrist, wants the world to understand about suicide.
It's not that people don't want to live. A lot of them feel like they've exhausted every possible way of getting closer to having peace of mind, slowing down the thoughts that are sort of distressing and upsetting. Can't find relief, don't know how to find relief, and ultimately feel trapped.
The reasons run deep: childhood trauma, loss, genetics, isolation, risk factors, and mental health issues come from every direction and moment in life. Data shows while 12 million Americans have serious thoughts about suicide, nearly 48,000 complete it each year. And 2020 data reveals nearly 69% of Wyoming communities do not have enough mental health providers to serve residents. In Montana, that number jumps to 88%.
I hope that at least what we're trying to do is try to make it really easy to access mental health care, no matter where people are in Montana.
Frontier Psychiatry reaches beyond miles and borders and brings patients face to face with mental health experts in rural hospitals all across the state.
Too often it's really difficult, either because the resources aren't there, people aren't around, there's a long wait list.
If you're concerned about a friend, family member, or colleague, encourage them to seek professional help, whether that's texting, calling, or physically helping them reach that safety. But often, even before that step, help can begin with conversation.
Just ask them open-ended questions when you're talking with them. Don't say, oh, you're doing okay, right?
Megan Saunders knows suicide firsthand and now helps others cope with the loss and learn the tools.
And it might be scary, and that's okay, but just let them use their voice and tell you what's going on with them, because I think for so many people struggling with any sort of mental illness, all they want is a space to be heard and connected to.
And what happens, understandably so, is that a parent will respond and say, no, don't do that. You shouldn't do that. Your life is fine. Isn't your life fine? And what that closes the conversation right away, versus saying, tell me more, right? And by saying, tell me more, it opens up the conversation. Now, inside, we want to say, no, don't kill yourself. That's a bad idea. Stop it. But that's not necessarily what the person needs to hear at that moment. What they need to hear at that point is acceptance and empathy and curiosity. Tell me more.
3 words that could help save lives. If you or someone else is in crisis, text TALK to 741-741 or call 1-800-273-8255. Q2 is teaming up with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention for this year's Yellowstone Valley Out of the Darkness Walk. It's this Sunday, September 19th at Will James Middle School here in Billings. You can register, it's free, learn more or donate by clicking into this story at ktvq.com or going to afsp.org/Montana. Your donations truly help save lives. Those funds help spread preventative education and assistance to those in crisis.
Thank you so much, Janelle. And before we take a break, a Billings artist is making the boring beautiful. Q2's Andrea Lutz shows us how.
It's taken roughly 500 hours to detail paint every inch of this wall here on 13th Street. But one Billings woman says it is all worth it if it means she can brighten up Billings one underpass at a time.
You might think art is usually created in the calm and silent areas of our inspired minds.
I get a lot of honks and waves and shouts.
But not quite here.
A lot of people saying thank you, but I thank them for all of their support.
Here, Elisa Leninger uses her surroundings as motivation.
I like the baby bison with its mom. It kind of shows like new life and the beginning of a life, and he's standing up for the first time and she's kind of helping him, and you can see his legs are a little wobbly.
She's here because of a grant secured from the Big Sky Economic Development with the help of the Southside Neighborhood Task Force to turn slabs of concrete gray into bold browns, hues of bright and joyful oranges, and uplifting yellows.
And collectively, we call these 2 murals the gateway to the Yellowstone.
This is her second underpass mural, a tribute to what stood here before any of us.
So this is a view from the rims of the Yellowstone Valley, like a panoramic view. So these are all of the landscapes that surround the Yellowstone Valley, kind of depicting it before the time of humans being here. So there's all the bison that roam the valley.
Painting for her comes easy.
When I started painting, I just fell in love with it and kept going.
Because her motivation to keep going is Montana.
Yes, this is where I grew up and it's what I know, and I always admire the landscapes surrounding the Yellowstone Valley and Billings area.
They say when a person looks at art they see as beautiful, instantly your body releases dopamine and lowers the stress hormone.
I just want them to smile.
So with that in mind, she wants others to feel just like that.
I hope it makes their day just a little bit brighter.
In Billings, Andrea Lutz, MTN News.
Thank you, Andrea. Those are amazing murals.